Set our minds, O God, on things that are above, as well as on things that are on the earth. Amen. The Ascension is a transition event. It forms the hinge between Luke's Gospel and the Acts of the Apostles, ending one and beginning the other. For the disciples, the transition is from having Jesus physically with them to him being present in a new way. Things will be very different for them in the future. They won't be living or hiding in his shadow. They'll have to take on more responsibility. The Prime Minister initiated a transition last week from lockdown to emergence from lockdown. It's not an easy transition. While lockdown in the main consists of doing as we are told, emerging from lockdown places a lot more responsibility on us as individuals, on organisations and employers. The government can't determine and spell out everything or regulate for every eventuality. The police won't be able to enforce what will often be a matter of judgment. People will think and feel differently, some wanting to push the boundaries, others more cautious or fearful. Some will resist the responsibility. It's easier being told what to do. Some will think the government has got it wrong. There will be disagreement and resistance. Witness the debate over the reopening of schools, or local councils trying to keep visitors away. It's inevitable, and maybe necessary, because no one has all the answers as we try to find our way through this. There's an apparent lack of disagreement and a remarkable display of unity in the infant church, as Luke describes it, in the days after the Ascension and Pentecost. Was it really like that, I wonder? Didn't some want to forge ahead while others were more cautious? Was it agreed who the leaders would be? Was there consensus over the selection of Matthias? The cracks would begin to show, of course. There was the grievance over the distribution to the widows, Ananias' deception, and the whole Gentile question. Maybe Luke does paint an artificially rosy picture. Or maybe we have Jesus to thank, for as he departs he gives the disciples two gifts. The first is time. Stay in the city, he says. Time to pray, time to prepare. Not just wait for, but wait on God. Listen to him. Listen to one another. Use the time. Discern. Stay here in the city until you have been clothed with power from on high. That's the second gift, of course. The empowerment and gifting of the Holy Spirit. Because a new era requires a new perspective and renewed resources. Out of these two gifts, Luke describes the disciples forming a community of prayer, of teaching, which also implies listening, and of commonality, sharing their goods. I'm sure there must have been disagreements, but with a twin focus on God and on one another's needs, Luke tells us they remained united in heart and soul. As we go through our present transition, our individual responsibilities are serving a greater good, and a focus on the needs of others will be important. Relaxation of lockdown is not just about the restoration of our personal liberties. It needs to be done in such a way as to continue to control the spread of the virus, with respect for the vulnerability of others and society as a whole. For us in the Church, when we come to consider how we may safely reopen our buildings, or when it's right to resume services in them, we too will need that focus on God and the needs of others. It's not just about what we would like access to. Jesus' gifts weren't about forming a cosy religious community. The Spirit empowered the disciples to look outwards and to grow. Some churches are reporting that since coronavirus they've established a new presence, and people have encountered the church in a new way, in the community or online. I hope we've all learnt new things about ourselves or about God. As we emerge from lockdown, we may not be called simply to try to return to where we were before. A new era requires a new perspective and renewed resources. Thanks be to God.